Hello once more. Right, this channel is dedicated to processing my relationship with Quentin Tarantino. Right. I'm the reason that he canceled the movie Critic last April. He and I have a legendary case study, clairvoyant relationship. And it's degenerated into a very dangerous, disgusting condition. And so, we're talking about it in the open air, right? And he can always deny, right? He has nothing but cunning, right? But the things that he does, right? Right? And so what do I mean? I mean that all of space is permeated with a conscious field, right? That consciousness is a strata, of course, right? Mineral, vegetable, animal, man, right? But it all exists simultaneously, right? At the same time, right? Diffused through that same conscious field, right? Is a perfectly nested hologram, right? Whose information contains all the necessary celestial scaffolding for all of manifested reality, right? And so, if we take this as an example, right, just an example, I'm going to step back a little bit, right? I can do this, right? Right? And so what is that, right? This is, right, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. This is 30. This is a compound of 30 tetrahedra. 30 pointing up. Or 15 pointing up, 15 pointing down, pardon me. Right? And so you can keep going out, right? And at the center of this is Buckminster Fuller's vector equilibrium. Right? So it's a convocation of 8 tetrahedra. It's mentioned in the novel. Right? 4 pointing up, 4 pointing down. Right? So 3 point up, 1 points down on both sides. Right? And so from there, right, so we say we have the vector equilibrium in the middle, right? We say, okay, this is our origin point, right? You can then stellate, right, the half octahedral voids, which form the 6 square faces of the cube, right, into its own pyramid, like a pyramid in Egypt, right? And it turns the whole thing, right, into a giant, badass, hyperdimensional octahedron, right? And so then, of course, the star tetrahedron, right, is also called the stellated octahedron, right? So that secondary generation, right, which is the higher dimensional octahedron, is then further stellated, right, on the 8 triangular faces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 3 pointing down, 1 pointing up. You understand? Right? Opposite on this side, right? And that's what gives you this form, right? And so it has no, and of course, if the beginning is the vector equilibrium, it has no end, right? And so we say the vector equilibrium is the geometry of God because all of the internal radiating vectors are the same length as the edges which comprise the convex hull of the sphere enclosing it, right? That this is, right? Right? And so if you replace the edges with rubber, right, and this is all Buckminster Fuller, right? It's all there, synergetics, right? If you replace the edges with rubber, right, you can collapse the vector equilibrium, right? And it mutates through the platonic solids, right, to a single triangle, right, which he says is the source and origin of all structural complexity. And it must be true, right? It's a philosophic tenet, right? But it must be true because one side, right, is always, one point is always supported by the other two, right? And so there's equal, right? Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Creator, creation, creature, right? So there's the thing, right? And then there's the other thing, right? And then there's, right, the thing that connects it. 1, 2, 3, right? 3 emerges from 2, to be clear, right? 2 arcs with a compass, right, creates 2 equilateral triangles, right? Out of 2 comes 3, right? 1 is all, right? 2 is the beginning of manifested reality, right? The birth of multiplication and division, right? A symbol of duality, of course, right? All these things, right? And then 3 is the synthesis, right? So, mind permeates everywhere, right? And so your mind, right, which is God's mind, right? It's the same mind, one mind, can push thoughts out, can meditate in, right? And so here we have the two schools, right? If we're playing the mind game, right, it's a mind, right? Oh, I want to use my mind to yield something that most people can't see. Okay, so for me, right, this thing in my mind, right, like that's what I wanted, right? That's what I've always wanted, right? And so now, right, and what do you see there, right? It's worth pointing out. What is that? There it is. Oh my God, it's hard to hold. Right, the Seal of Solomon, right? Star of David, right? Hyperdimensional Seal of Solomon, right? But I want to build these in my mind, right? That's right. And so the other side of that is, oh, I want to be a voyeur, right? I want to manipulate and control other people, right? 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 So, healing the sick, right? The other side of it, right? Like these are, right? Right? Pure divinity, pure force, pure intention, pure will, right? And so now, right? Quentin has engendered a condition, right? Right? To compel me to blow my brains out, right? And has done very, very dangerous things, right? That he stole from me in an effort, right, to poison my body. He'll always deny it. He'll always deny it, right? But now, right, it's the 21st century. I see it now. Right? I could be a great movie star. I could be the brightest light in show business, right? However, right, I have an obligation first, right, to be the guardian angel of the world, right? And so as far as acting, right, there's some sort of perverse, like, justice here, right? That if Quentin, right, just cared about the movies, right, if he was just caring, right, if this was just about a movie, right, and the way that he makes his movies, right, he would have reached out and said, no, dude, not cool. Not cool. You burned me so fucking bad. I like the scene. It's a good scene. But you take this money, you sign this non-disclosure agreement, right? And your LA privileges are revoked. Fair enough. Your show. Right? Enjoy the scene. Right? So, we're talking about it in the light of day. That's the point, right? Right? I can explain it. I know what the game is. Right? And so, right, we're in this disgusting celestial stalemate. Right? And I'll admit, right, the most extreme of the measures, right, have taken to halt. Right? But we're both, right, each of our lives are in each other's hands, right? And so when he took the steps that he took, right, at the beginning of April, right, and however many times between then and now, right, perhaps some 10 times, right, he has used wisdom, right, he has abused wisdom to seek to destroy my body, to poison my magnetic body with diseases, right? That this is, right? That's what occurred, right? So, you know, God willing, it doesn't work that way, right? But he did a lot. Right? And so now, right, this is the point. Now we're just gonna talk about it. You know, like you wanna, okay. I see, and now, right, that there's, okay, we're mortal enemies. I get it. That I can either, right, that I can say, oh, oh my gosh, he's so famous. Oh no, oh no, he has money. Right? Or I can assume that he's not a complete fucking coward. Right? And know that this is the game that you signed up for. Right? That this is the game that you wanted to play with me. Right? So, I'm not using any diseases. Right? No. No conspiracies with Hollywood fixers. Right? No back alley Chinese deals. Right? Right? If I get any human organs, right, it will be, right, from a respected official place. I'll pay the $500, right, for a corpse's heart, whatever it takes, you know. But I don't have to do that either, right? I don't have to do that either. Right? But my point is, that's the game he's playing, right? Because he stole it from me, right? Because when I realized, right, that he only wants me to die, right? That everything that he did about the daughter and Hamlet and, you know, like all of it, like all those months, right? Hannah from Seattle, all of it, right? Was an effort to overwhelm my mind, right? And make me think, oh, death is better, right? Because then he can have my scene for free, right? And then no one will know, right? And while my shame is paramount, right? My shame is paramount. It's obvious that I've come into his life for a particular reason, right? Right? I could say some pretentious fucking scripture right now, and I'm not going to because it's my fault. Right? It's my fault. I do love him still. I do see him as my spiritual father, right? Did he have something to teach me? He taught it to me. He taught it to me, right? Between, not the first time, but the second time. I got it. Even before Tribeca, I knew. I was working a lot of hours, right? And I always thought, if I want to do, or I began to, right, as our connection continued to ferment, I began to have the thoughts like, oh, if I want to, like, the only private time that I have in my mind is in the 30 minutes before I go to work at 4 in the morning, right? So, leading into Tribeca, I already knew, I was well aware, right, that these are the games that he's playing. I should have played, right? There's nothing, right? Of course, it was the highest magic in show business, you know? I cry often about it, you know? What can you say, right? Right? But I don't fault him. I don't fault him in any way. It seems petty to me. It does seem, right, to try to cast a spell on me then, right? To play the psychic mind game all those months, right? And then still, right? And that's bullshit. But it is true that, right? Right? So, I made my decision, right? I chose my side. And so when that happened, right? I don't have to say it, right? Like, I don't have to say these things. It's obvious. It's obvious, you know, that after I did it, right, after about 2 weeks, right, he said, man, fuck this guy. Right? So, right? This guy doesn't respect it. This guy doesn't know what's occurring. Right? I'll compel him to madness, right? And he'll be permanently hospitalized or blow his brains out. Oh, the voices in my head. Right? And that, right? That's a sin against God. That's the point. That's a conspiracy towards destroying your brother. Right? There's no other way to interpret it. Right? He doesn't expect this to persist for 20 years. Right? You think I want to make this movie now? right? You think I want to do anything other than, right, strike him from the face of the earth? Right? But I'm not evil. I respect it. Right? When it became obvious that he wanted to compel me to suicide, I had the thought, oh, now that he knows he won't make me kill myself, what is he prepared to do to see that I am no longer breathing? Right? And I thought of it immediately, because I know what the fucking game is, right? And so now we're talking about it, right? We're talking about it every day, right? And I'm going to make sure, right? Right? That this man, this demon, right? Who has no right to any of the things that he's been blessed with, right? Because he meditates on evil. He meditates on violence and destruction, right? That wife is so fine. You're so lucky. You're so fucking lucky. You got a beautiful family, right? Anything you could ever want in life, boom, it's there. Right? And all you see is, oh, I need this man to die, right? That's, right? So, we're playing the mind destruction game. That's, right? Right? So we're talking about it every day, right? I'm reminding the people, right, that this thing is occurring, right? You believe it, you say I'm schizophrenic, right? Ask Robert De Niro, right? Ask Paul Schrader, right? Ask the director of Tribeca, right? That this is, right? I am not insane. Right? He wanted to make it, right? This disgusting, tedious, long-legged, right? He didn't want to be honest, right? He wanted to contrive to, like, bring emotions, like, into clairvoyance. I don't make no goddamn sense to me, for sure. When you could have just said, nah, dude, nah, you blew it. You're so fucking cool. I appreciate those letters, right? You're a fucking badass guy, and you could have been right next to me. But you go fuck off anywhere else. Hollywood ain't for you. What could I have said, right? What could I... Right? But now... So, we're light years past that, right? There is no, right? Tribeca's bullshit. Tribeca means nothing now, right? That was his initiation. It was both of our initiation, you see? You see? And I'll say no more about it, because I don't want to upset him. But I'm gonna keep reading from my novel. And we're going to keep talking about it until it finds an amicable resolution. No more. You know? Evil. I guess I have to build it. I don't know, you know? It upsets me a lot. It's nothing. 2 hours, 4 hours. Destroy anyone. And I have no choice. This is the game. These are the stakes. So we're talking about it in the light of day. And if I turn that fucking thing on, believe it'll be here. In front of the lens. And then we can really talk about it. Right? And I won't tell you who it is. Right? Could be anyone. Won't be him. I'll say that. Or Daniela. No. Right? So we're talking about it.